Athletics Director Ross Bjork was announced on March 21st, 2012 as the 7th full-time Director of Athletics at Ole Miss, and at age 43 is one of the youngest ADs among Power 5 conference institutions. In just 3 years in Bjork's tenure with the Rebels have produced energetic hires, structural progress, team success, and a new spirit surrounding Ole Miss athletics. Bjork set the tone early by hiring one of the country's top rising coaches in Matt Enzel women's basketball, and has since brought Stephen McRoberts volleyball, Mike Smith softball, Chris Malloy men's golf, Corey Hinks women's golf, and Connie Pierce-Smith track and field and cross country on board, while promoting Toby Hansen, one of college tennis's best assistant coaches, to head men's coach. He also appointed 3 executive-level administrators for external relations, academic support, and facilities game operations. Bjork's vision in facilities resulted in the development plan for the Manning Center, which was renamed to honor Olivia and Archie Manning. The $12.5 million renovation included the grill at 1810, a full-service dining facility, the Williams Reed football foyer, Burns team meeting rooms, Van Demeter family locker rooms, weight room, player lounge, and visuals throughout the complex. Ole Miss has enjoyed unprecedented support under Ross Bjork. Bjork is a native of Dodge City, Kansas, and received his bachelor's degree in recreation administration from Emporia State University in 1995, where he was a 2-year starter at fullback. He earned a master's degree in athletic administration from Western Illinois University in December 1996. Bjork has quickly established a leadership role in SEC by being appointed as chair of the award committee and selected to the NCAA basketball issues committee and the NCAA recruiting cabinet. Bjork and his wife Sonia have 2 boys, Peyton 9 and Paxton 5. Ross Bjork has really been a true friend to me since I've been here. I first met him when he was arrived during my tenure as ASB president, and I think he has completely transformed athletics at Ole Miss, not only with our facilities, with the new pavilion, but also with Vaught Hemingway Stadium and Swayze Field that will be soon to come after this baseball stadium. And I appreciate all of his support, not only with the university creed, but all that he does for this university. Let's give a warm welcome to Athletics Director Ross Bjork.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. You guys have been trained very well, because you did not realize why you gave me a standing ovation, right? Why'd you give me a standing ovation? Respect, or you just wanted to get out of your seat. I get it, so you don't fall asleep. I understand. You know, I feel like when I walked in that I was breaking up a party. I mean, dancing, singing, chanting. You know, you guys are getting fired up because I know that I'm standing in the way of you getting out of here, right? Is that correct? Okay. All right. So Gregory, thank you for the kind introduction. Where's my good friend Hiram Eastland? Where's Hiram? Hiram, thank you for the invitation. I know Bradley Baker has put a lot into this, and Steve Guyton, and all the directors. Britton, I just met Britton a few minutes ago. Where did Britton go? Wherever he went, he slipped out. He didn't want to hear me either. So I'm standing between the speech and the exit, so I decided to go from about 3 hours down to about 22 minutes. Is that okay? All right, okay. All right. You know, and normally I don't like to stand behind these big podiums. I'd rather be out in front, and maybe we'll do that here along the way. But, you know, it's really amazing to have all of you here to showcase the University of Mississippi, to showcase Oxford, but to really give you a new platform. This is a new opportunity for you. You know, a week ago you arrived going, you know, what am I getting myself into? Yeah, I've read all the materials. Yeah, I've prepared myself. But now you have this amazing new platform to work with that will give you many, many more opportunities than you had just a week ago before you arrived here. And I think if you look at it that way, that's what we're providing to you as an institution, is a new platform through this vehicle called Boys State. There's a couple words in Gregory's introduction that you probably never heard of. You probably never heard of Dodge City, Kansas, but you have heard the term, get the heck out of Dodge. That's what I did. I got the heck out of Dodge. I haven't been back since I graduated high school. My closest thing to Boys State was in Kansas. They had American Legion baseball. Do we have American Legion baseball in Mississippi? Okay. So that was the standard of high-level baseball in the state of Kansas, was you played American Legion baseball. So I was a dumb jock. I wasn't smart enough to be in the boys' stateroom. I had friends who did it, but I wasn't able to do that. But I love what American Legion stands for and what this platform stands for at Boys State. You know, what is leadership? You know, I know you've had a lot of talks from high-level folks who have provided amazing experiences to you this week and talked to you a lot about leadership and a lot about experiences that they've had along the way. And really that's where I'm coming from this morning. None of what I'm going to tell you this morning is a how-to. Hey, this is how you do this. Hey, this is what you need to do here. It's not about that. What I'm going to talk to you about is really my opinion based on my experiences along the way of working in higher education, working in college athletics for the last 20 plus years. I believe that any foundation of leadership must start with two things. Two things, and it's really the only two things that we really can control in our entire being, and that's our attitude and that's our effort. So how do we think about life? How do we think about ourselves? And then how hard do we work? No greater example of a positive attitude than a man, a legend, and a hero that we just lost overnight. Muhammad Ali, the greatest boxer of all time, passed away. Absolutely. And if you don't know what I mean by attitude, Google Muhammad Ali, Google video, watch ESPN2 is running all his famous fights over the next several days. Think about the attitude that he displayed. That man was not afraid of anybody. And it didn't matter if it was a social cause or a fight or he got defeated. He talked about being the greatest. He talked about him being pretty all the time, right? It was an attitude that he displayed, and that's what I'm talking about. So what is leadership? What kind of leader are you? Have you asked yourself that question yet? And if you haven't, you need to. So it's not a lecture to talk about the how-to part of it. It's a lecture about challenging yourself to think about what type of leader are you. And we'll ask a question here, and we'll answer that question perhaps here in a second. So here's why you need to think about that. Right now you think, you know what, I just finished my junior year. I'm going into my senior year. I don't have to worry about that leadership stuff yet. That's not true. That's not true at all. You need to be thinking about it every single day as you build your platform and you come out of this with a newfound energy around the word leadership. You know what I think we've done as a society is that we've made leadership for you, for the next generation, we've made it too big. We've made it too big, too scary, too daunting, too overwhelming. We've made it about titles. We've made it about the corner office. We've made it about how much money somebody makes. We've made it about how much somebody's on TV. We've made it about how many Twitter followers we have, right? We've made it way too big of a platform when we need to boil it down to some simple things. So why does it have to be so big? It doesn't have to be. It can be about the little things, and we're gonna talk about all that here in a second. So what is leadership? What is the definition of a leader? And there's a lot of books that you can read. There's a lot of things that you can study. You've heard from some great people this week. So when you get asked the question, hey, tell me what type of leader you are, because I guarantee it's coming. If it hasn't came already, it's coming during an interview to get into college. It's coming for an interview to get a job. It's graduate school. It's whatever is coming. Somebody will ask you that question. And here is a different way to maybe answer that question based on my experience and my opinion. What I would do if I'm asked that question, I would say, you know what, tell me what the situation is. Tell me what the challenge is. Or tell me what the opportunity is, and then I'll tell you what type of leader I am. Now wait a second. That means you're wishy-washy. That means you don't have a formula. That means you don't have a plan. No, that's not it at all. So sometimes in leadership, guess what? You've got to pound the table and say, you know what, this is how we're going to do it. And this is why we're going to do it. And this is what's going to happen when we do this. Sometimes you have to be that type of leader. Other times you have to be a leader that puts your arms around people and says, you know what, let's bring everybody to the table. Let's get all the opinions on the table, and then we'll make a decision. More of a collaborative leader, right? And so when you get asked that question, you can't just say, well, I'm a certain type of leader this way. I'm cut out of this mold. I believe in life it doesn't work that way, because we have to expect the unexpected every single day. It's not a matter of if you'll be tested, it's a matter of when you'll be tested. And so when you think about situational leadership, you answer the question by saying, tell me what the situation is. I've actually tried to come up with a new word that the faculty, they haven't approved it yet here on campus. It's called situationalship. So it combines the word situation and leadership into one word. So the best type of leaders are the ones that are self-aware. They understand that, hey, you know what, guess what? We lost a baseball game last night that most people said we shouldn't have lost. We're the #1 seed. We're playing the 4 seed. Utah has a losing record overall, but they did win the Pac-12. But we're hosting. We got 10,000 people there. Man, we got hit upside the head. So what does our team have to do today? Boy, they got to bounce back. They got to have toughness, right? And so their leadership mentality, it had to switch based on that situation. Our baseball coach, right, had to have his post-game talk different after a loss than if we would have won. And so each situation is going to be different. I had somebody ask me back in the fall, what does an athletic director do? Does anybody know that answer? Anybody want to take a guess? What does an athletic director do? Schedule games. Close. Close. Raise money. You don't have to, it's sort of a rhetorical question. You don't have to answer it. But here's how I answered it to that person. I said, here's what we do. We watch games and we give speeches. So last night I watched a baseball game, and today I'm giving a speech. That's what I feel like sometimes. It's like Groundhog Day. We get up every day, we watch a game, we give a speech. But let me tell you, obviously it's a lot more than that. There's a lot of complicated things that go into it. But here's what we do. When we realized that we were teachers and educators first, and that we realized that we're giving our student athletes a platform to achieve their full potential, that's when our program has taken off. Gregory cited some numbers on things that we've done here as an athletic department. And those things are very technical. And honestly, those things are easy. It's easy to build a building. It's easy to raise money. It's easy to put a marketing plan together to sell out our football stadium. And it's easy to write a game plan on how you're going to compete against Alabama and put a game plan together and script out plays. That's the easy part. But how do you inspire people? When we realize that we're more than just the technical things and that we're the inspirational things, that's when our program has taken off. That's the hard part. That's the hard part of leadership. So what does an athletic director do? We try to inspire the next generation through athletics by teaching and by educating and by providing this great platform. So let's talk about a few of the things that I believe are key to leadership. I believe that leadership is a calling, that it's bigger than just a title. It's bigger than wearing the lapel pin on my chest here. It's bigger than having the Ole Miss script on my golf shirt here. It's a calling that we have to realize every single day. Leaders have to expect the unexpected. Right now, we're going through a battle. We're going through a battle of NCAA challenges. We're going through a battle of our competitors, right, trying to figure out how is Ole Miss doing all of these things. And we have to expect the unexpected. Does everyone recall NFL draft night? We did not expect that. Believe me, we did not expect that. Expect the unexpected as a leader. Guess what? As a leader, you're going to win some and you're going to lose some. It happens. It goes with the territory. As a leader, you have to have freedom to fail. We're not perfect, right? We're going to make mistakes, but we have to give ourselves a freedom to fail. Leaders are faithful and they have mental toughness. Every single morning, I get up and I work out. Every single morning. Part of it is to wake up a little bit, like you guys were doing those dances and those chants. Part of it is to wake up a little bit. But every day I try to have mental toughness and I try to win that day by getting up and working out. Leadership has to calm the storm. We're going through a storm. How do we provide leadership? How do we calm things? How do we understand what's happening? Leaders calm the storm. Leaders have to lean in and teach with authority. So each situation is different. Sometimes you got to pound that table. Sometimes you got to hug people and love people. Leadership requires discipline. How many of you this week whined or complained or made excuses about something? We all do it, right? But guess what? Great leaders don't do that. I'm trying to teach my sons this. No whining, no complaining, or no excuses. Because if you're rattled as the leader, if you're making excuses, guess what your team will do? Guess what your followers will do? They'll make excuses, they'll whine, and they'll complain. Leaders understand the difference between leadership and management. Remember what I talked about, the inspirational things and the technical things. There's a difference there, and we have to be self-aware. All right, so let me give you a couple stories about what I'm talking about. And hopefully you can see these pictures. So here's a couple things about doing the little things to make the big things happen and inspiring our fans along the way. So after the Auburn football game last fall, I get a tweet from a couple who live in the Delta. They've been to 200 consecutive football games in a row. We just beat Auburn on the road, home and away. 200 games in a row, home and away. That's a long time. That's about 20 years worth of football games. And I get a tweet from them saying, hey, great game. It's our 200th game in a row, home and away. Just wanted to say, go Rebels. So on Monday morning, I go into the office and I said, you know what, we've got to do something for this couple. We've got to do something special for them. So we created 2 footballs. We painted them. We put the score, the Auburn game, Ole Miss score, the date, 200th game in a row, put their name on it. We went and found them at the next home football game, and we presented them 2 footballs. You can't see it. Hopefully you can a little bit. But we presented them 2 little footballs with their name on them. And they tailgate with about 100 people over by the Tad Smith Coliseum. We drive up in our golf carts. We get out. We ask for Carolyn and Terry. Hey, where are they? We want to talk to them. They come up. They're surprised. We hand them 2 footballs. 200th game in a row. Here's your name on it. Here's a game ball. Thank you for your support. They start crying. The hundreds of people around them start crying. They start asking questions. Hey, why are you doing this? Well, this has never happened. We've never seen this before. And I said, what do you mean, why are we doing this? This is what we're supposed to do. This is leadership. So back to the things about, hey, we make it too big and too scary. How hard was it to paint 2 footballs, put their name on it, and drive a golf cart out and hand it to them and say thank you for 200 games in a row? How hard is that to do? The next story is a young man who actually was a Boys State participant back in 2013, a young man named Seth Dickinson. He's from Mantachie, Mississippi. About a year and a half ago, Seth was in his living room or in his kitchen during spring break. He was a freshman at Ole Miss. at this time, was in the middle of his freshman year, and he's talking to his girlfriend on the phone, and he has a brain aneurysm, and he drops, boom, kitchen floor. Luckily, he was talking to his girlfriend on the phone. She could call 911. They came and rescued him. They took him to the hospital. He survived. Not many people survive that type of accident. So Seth goes through the summer. He's rehabbing. He's not able to come back to Ole Miss right away in the fall of 2015. And I get an email from a colleague of mine asking if we could secure a couple of football tickets for Seth to come to a game to return to campus last football season, fall of 2015. I didn't know anything about Seth's story. I hadn't heard about Seth's story. And so when Ryan sent me the email, I said, absolutely, give me Seth's number. Let's find out where he's going to be before the game. Let's make sure that we get him the right kind of tickets. He couldn't sit with all the crazy, wild students quite yet. He wasn't quite ready for it. And we said, hey, let's find Seth before the game and let's welcome him back. So another picture, hopefully you can see it a little bit, is a picture of me giving Seth an Ole Miss football signed by head coach Hugh Freeze. Basically, go Rebels. Seth, welcome back. So Seth comes to that football game. He sends me an email on Christmas morning thanking me for inspiring him to come back to Ole Miss, which he then enrolled in January of 2016, enrolled back as a full-time student. In this email, he goes through talking about during the depths of his illness, his rehab, how the one thing that kept him going was Ole Miss football, was the University of Mississippi, and that dream for him to come back and be a student again. And all we did was we gave him a football. That's all we did. We gave him a football. We gave Carolyn and Terry a football. So when you think about how you go back and you provide leadership, it's not about walking in a suit and tie, right? It could be as simple as picking up a classmate after they had a tough day at home. It could be opening the door for somebody who's carrying a bunch of stuff walking into your school. It could be a sports team. We got our mayors up here who won. It could be leading in the locker room, right? It's not about a title or an office. Another young man who we work with is a young man that we call Super D. Super D works in the grill at 1810. And Super D, his main duty is he makes smoothies for the student athletes. But guess what Super D is? Super D is a leader. He doesn't have a title. He makes a little over minimum wage. That man walks in that dining facility every single day with the most unbelievable positive attitude. If you want picked up, the smoothie will help, but Super D's attitude will help even more. And our student athletes honored him with an award, the first ever award that was created because they thought of him. So we gave him an award, but he's inspiring us every single day. Super D, Dennis. He's simple. He makes smoothies. He cleans our dining facility, but you walk in that facility and you want fired up, Super D will do it. He's a leader, but he has no title. He doesn't make a bunch of money. He dresses in dining facility attire every single day, but guess what? He doesn't think of himself as anything less than a leader and somebody who can inspire every single day. That's what leadership is all about. We have this saying around here called "We Are Ole Miss." And when I first got here, it wasn't used in the most positive way. So if we lost a baseball game last night, Hiram, you know what I'm talking about. Steve knows what I'm, Bradley, folks that have been around a long time. When we lose a baseball game that we shouldn't lose, or a football game, or something happens, people would say, well, there they go again. We are Ole Miss. And it would be used in a negative way. We tried to flip that narrative. Guess what, people? We're not losers. We are winners. We're just like Muhammad Ali. We believe we're the greatest of all time. And if we don't think that way, and if we don't portray that, then who will? How do we get all these followers? How do we get Seth and Terry and Carolyn and Super D to believe in what we're doing if we don't have a positive attitude? That's what leadership is all about. Leadership is about the attitude and the effort and the situational things that come your way. That's what leadership is all about. Maybe a different spin than what you've heard this week, but I really believe that if you're self-aware and you understand the situation, you'll be the greatest of all time. Here's a quote that I think sums it up for all of you by Muhammad Ali, and I would encourage you to Google his greatest quotes. Here's a quote, and this is the last thing I'll mention here, and then we'll be finished. He said, "I'm young," so you're all young. "I'm handsome." Look in the mirror, guys. You guys are all handsome. "I'm fast. I can't possibly be beat." I'm young, I'm handsome, I'm fast. I can't possibly be beat. Meaning all of you, the best is yet to come for all of you. Congratulations on a great week. Hotty toddy, go Rebels. Thank you.
On behalf of Boys State 2016, we'd like to give this cup to you. Thank you for coming and speaking to us.
Thank you, Ross, for taking time out of your schedule and for all that you do for Ole Miss. And we wish you the best in the upcoming year. And we appreciate you coming, and thank you for all that you do for Boys State.